Sit thee down, beautiful listeners, and welcome to Men in Sheds, episode 10.
Double digits.
Double digits.
Double digits.
Sounds filthy.
It does sound a bit filthy, actually. And we're back in the shed for the first time in 2017, which is quite scary, I think. I mean, we had one outside, but, you know.
What are we doing? We're not grounded anymore, and we've come back to our roots now and remembered what we're all about, which is being men in sheds.
Drivable sheds are just too bourgeois, aren't they? You've got to get back to a rickety old wooden shed in the middle of it.
Exactly.
Let's get on with it then.
Let's crack on.
Crack on.
Crack on. And I'm sad.
Oh, go on.
I'm put
teary-eyed.
sad music on.
Put a little violin in back.
I'm sad about the passing of Tara Palmer Tompkins.
Yeah.
Which was last week now, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah, last week.
Because of cars.
Because of cars.
I'm not one for the party girl, it girl thing.
No.
But Tara Palmer Tompkinson was on Motorworld, Jerry Clarkson's Motorworld, back in late 90s, or early 2000s, or whatever. And in her NSX, boy racering, girl racering.
Driving in massive heels, wasn't she?
Massive heels in the wet.
In the wet, just
just racing.
Like it's nothing.
Everyone off the lights. And I just wanted to get that mention in.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say about it.
Bit of a closet.
She were a pioneer.
Yeah.
For for women in cars getting a bit of respect and all that. Good for her. Yeah, well, not good for her. Shame for her. Yeah.
Thank you,
but she
Tara.
left us. Yeah, thanks, Tara. You left us with quite an amazing motoring moment. I think.
Exactly.
That will go down in history, modern history, in my opinion. Not that you can find the clip on YouTube. You can't.
I know. I look for it. It's just
you can't.
There's bits
Don't
of clips,
bother looking.
but not the whole thing.
Don't bother looking. No. We were going to go back into stupid car stories.
Yeah, we did that last time.
We're going to do third-party stupid car stories. We're just going to get it out of the way because it turns out I'm the only one with stories.
And also, yours was quite heartfelt. Well, no, both of our first-person stories last time were quite tragic. So we'll move on to third-party, and then they can get the laughs rather than us this time.
Third-party. So we have a friend.
A friend indeed.
And he's a great guy. With a checkered history when it comes to cars and doing brilliant and doing stupid things. And
in equal measure.
It were back in college for me, and back then, like, your first car was a right bang. You know, we're talking about them snotters and everything like that. You went out boy racing and all that.
Yeah. And things have changed now. You just get a contract, at least higher.
You do. Straight into the system. Straight in. We'd been out with these lads up Utoxeter, and they were doing this trick of turning their ignition on and off whilst driving, which
do the backfire thing?
On a carved car, do a massive backfire, like a shotgun going off. Don't do this in your car with a steering lock and everything else now.
And probably a catalytic converter, unless you want to destroy that.
Yeah, you get a smelly bang then off that, wouldn't you? And we were driving around doing all this, and we went back to college, and the college we were at, and we were Moreland, sixth form, Cheadle, and it's got this big long drive to a set of gates at the bottom, which are always open, and my mate, Jono Jippo in his Mini, who's cherry bomb exhaust, goes off down the drive. It was pouring rain at the time. He goes off down the drive, second gear, highest revs, off with ignition, back on. Like a shotgun going off right next to a couple of girls.
Oh, I bet they were impressed. I
bet they bloody lie awake at night just thinking.
Just imagining that, remembering that moment.
That gentlemanly pop of a cherry bomb exhaust from a 1000cc Mini. And it was
valve float.
It was spectacular. And our mate, Ollie, pretty much ran to the car park to and unlocked the squeaky door of his Mark II.
Did he slide across the bonnet first?
He's not that agile. Mark II beige 1.3 Escort.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, Grandad spec.
That his mum had bought him for 50 quid.
Wow.
Oh, back at different times.
He was different. You forget.
We love that car. And he piloted it out of the car park and up to the top of the drive, turned it round, and just went for it down the drive. First gear, all the way up there. Second gear, all the way up his second gear. And we're waiting for this bang. And there's water streaming around the car.
Rooster tailing.
Honestly, it was unbelievable. You know when you get that buffering of water around the car? There was that much rain in the air, that much water. It was awash.
They'd have stopped an F1 race for less water.
They would have. You needed one of them little highlights on the back. That's what he needed. And just when we're thinking we're going to hear this bang, what we get instead is a change into third gear, which was the last thing we were expecting. And he just went for it. And we're just thinking, when's he going to pop his exhaust? And then the back lights came on. The nose dived. And the whole car lunged into a slide up the curb and straight into one of the open school gates. Which was actually, turns out, the best thing to hit. Because it kind of it's like a crumple zone. Because this Escort didn't have a crumple zone.
So rather than a bang, there was a crunch, really.
And we ran down to him. And he'd hit the windscreen.
Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't that badly hurt.
That explains a lot now.
But yeah, it does, doesn't it? It'd thrown him forward, and it was because there was a car coming the other way. So this person who just pulled into the school drive was trying to work out why in this weather,
why this beige Escort had appeared out of the mist.
Flash of beige.
The screaming third gear.
And he backed it out of the gate. It was scraping. It hit on the one side.
Yeah.
It cracked his grille, pushed all the front in. Tyre was scraping. And, I mean, we just winched it. We winched the gate back into shape, and we kind of winched his Escort back into shape and put some.
But just wrapped a rope round the gate and just pulled it with.
That's what I did. I got my dad's caravan winch at the time, and I got it to the base of a lamppost.
Wow.
And Ollie's like, "Gonna pull lamppost over." Like, Ollie, I don't think you're best to criticise.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty legendary one. And later on, after I straightened that gate out, a girl at the college in a Uno fired her Uno up in first gear, went into the gate in first gear, wrote the Uno off.
So fair play to the Escort.
So the Escort.
Third gear.
Yeah, third gear, full pace. With a not light occupant. The occupant was not light.
True.
Wow. So that were one time, and
this one time at college.
There's other times. So a bit later on, this is the saddest. This is the saddest stupid thing I've seen. It's not necessarily that. It's stupid. You'll understand why it would appear stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm at a pub.
Yeah.
Like 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Going back to them times, hanging out, having a drink, and it's a blazing summer day.
Yeah.
It's a blazing summer day, and the pub's having like an open fun thing for kids. They've got bouncy castle, they've got all that, and it's stinking. You know when it's stinking hot?
Yeah.
It is stinking. It's horrible, and they've got a clown at this event, and this clown, I mean, is giving it all he's got with these kids. And he's trying to leave. So he's walking past, the beer garden and all that. And he's trying to sort of break out a character, but these kids are sort of hanging on and whatever. And they're kind of like, and he's doing all this clown stuff.
It's like the summer version of that bit in Home Alone where Macaulay Culkin comes up to the Santa Claus. He has to throw his cigarette into the snow.
Yeah, it's that.
Hello, kids.
Yeah, honestly, right, so once he gets away from once his parents kind of get the idea and are like trying to get their kids away, he breaks character completely.
Wow.
And
the smile drop. Well, even the painted smile drops.
Pretty much. In full clown makeup and costume, big wide trousers, silly shoes, everything. He just completely goes dour face, surly, and I do think he got a fag on the go as he walks to his little rascal van.
Oh, wow.
Because of course he's clown, isn't he?
Of course.
Because he's clown. And he
gets his shoes on while he tries.
He looked to me like you're in a real hurry because he's got clown stuff to do. You got to, the market's hot, the day's good. Like ice cream man, you got to get in. You got to get in whilst you can. So he gets in his little rascal van, which is painted up like, clown car.
Nice.
Fires it up.
Like a two-stroke if it were a two-stroke.
And he's off. And he's in a hurry.
Yeah. He's got to get to his next clown appointment.
He barrels across the car park, steers his way around, exit the car park, kind of a little bit in front of an old couple who are driving down the road, comes up to the junction, wants to go, second guesses, stops, car behind him, crunch in front of the whole pub. And being in an accident, in a car, a mild collision or anything like that, it's horrible, because you feel like everyone's seen it, you feel very public, you're apologetic, you're upset, you're angry. This guy's dressed as a clown.
And he's crashed his clown car.
And he gets out of his clown car, dressed as a clown.
Walks to the back of the car, shakes it.
Yeah. It would have been better. The only thing that would have made it funnier and sadder would have been if there was like 8 of them in the van
and they'd all got
out one by one. But I felt so bad for him because it's horrible. Something like it's an innocent kind of little bump, and it was enough to smash his back light, and and he's just trying to get on. He's probably lost the money.
He's just clowning around.
Hey. Anyway.
But yes, he's probably lost the money he's just made in the pub.
He's probably lost his insurance excess or whatever. Probably not his fault, but whatever. And I just thought, all right, well, that's sad. He's just trying to bring a bit of happiness into the world. I've got a squeaky seat back.
It's all right. It never squeaks until we start the podcast.
Kind of appropriate for a clown.
I think so. Yeah.
Squeaky.
Stop now.
And the last one.
The
last one is Saxo VTS Crash.
Crash.
Yeah.
I imagine that's a rare occurrence. Don't see many of them.
Don't see many VTSs around now, do you?
That says it all.
And it was when we'd done this throttle body conversion, put 16 valve engine in Ollie's cab, the same lad that hit those gates. Kind of ridiculous that we, given his history, that we do that, but still. And we were just pulling out onto road in town.
Yeah.
And this Saxo comes past, and he gives us the look.
The look.
And we're always looking
for the look.
For a bit of a race, for a bit of fun, because the thing about that Cavalier, where it was an SRI, it looked like an 8 valve, didn't even look like the 16 valve SRI, and it's just so ace having a Q car. So, especially when it looks kind of sporty.
Yeah.
Because that's when people want to show you. I mean, as a side note, Ollie was out after he'd done it, and the car sounded amazing. And
that was a big part of it, I think. Yeah.
And he were driving. I mean, it sounded so good. The police pulled him over once, just so they could ask what on earth was under the bonnet of this thing, so he could show them. Yeah. Because they were that impressed by the noise. But he was in Nottingham, I think it were, and driving around, and some lads in a GSI 2000, which was a pretty awesome car at the time. He got these girls in the car, and he pulls up beside Ollie at a traffic light just randomly, and he shouts, "Follow me, I'll show you how a real cav goes."
Whoa! You couldn't make that up.
I know,
really?
unbelievable.
Perfect.
And he ends up in a drag race against his standard GSI 2000 in this throttle, but he's got about 50 horsepower over him on it, and it was just it was magnificent.
That is
you couldn't make it up, could you? But anyway, so we see this VTS. It gets all fruity, the backdrop. He's got like a lad in the back. There's 3 lads in there. The backdrop's down, but we're in town.
Yeah.
And Ollie's really good with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Ollie
There are rules.
Ollie kind of roared up behind, but then backed off. It's like, we're not going to do anything in town, because it's like on a Saturday midday.
Yeah.
And this were in Cheadle.
Yeah.
The top of town end, Cheadle, is always traffic parked up. Right at the top where that pub is. I forgot which pub it is. But you're always having to stop.
Royal Oak, maybe.
Something like that. You're always having to stop, let someone through, whatever. Yeah. Not this Saxo.
Oh, dear.
So this Saxo goes
the need to get away.
Full pelt. Oh. I mean, Rinta's not going to go anyway. Yeah. And opposite where this pub is and these cars parked, there's a junction. And he comes flying the other way, and he tried to get round a car that was coming, oncoming.
Using the junction.
So his back end hits the curb, and I tell you, I've never seen a Saxo go that high in the air. It manages to kick the back of this Saxo up across the road and hits a Polo coming the other way in like the rear window, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, pulls over, to deal with it. And we stopped behind and we're kind of like, what we're doing. But, we wanted to make sure everyone's okay.
Obviously,
and this Saxo, it were all the back rear beam, whatever.
It was just
it was
mangled, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a right mess. And we walked back up, and turned out the lad had got no insurance. There's people coming out of the pub. There's people getting involved. Everyone on the streets come out their front garden, which is really awkward for me because I'd gone and had a look at his car to kind of try and sort of make him feel a bit better. And we're not going to laugh about his predicament. And then I had to do a walk of shame on his behalf, pretty much, to catch up with him. And they're all out tutting, shaking their heads, and there was this big debate about the police, and all that. And this lad didn't want the police calling, and this guy's adamant the police is calling. And I'm saying if he hasn't, I'm telling the woman that he hit, if he hasn't got insurance, then the police have a piggy bank for this kind of thing to dip into to cover it, and all that. Anyway, we got out of there once we knew everyone was okay because we just didn't want to get involved or accused or anything. Because if people had heard the car revving up the road, they could have thought all sorts. We were going under the limit. There was loads of space. We're being cautious, but people don't necessarily think like that.
Well, people sometimes see what they want to see, don't they, and kind of remember it in a different light. If that's it, if you pulled away and it made a loud noise or something, all of a sudden they'll put you back in the scene almost. If they want it.
And then I later found out that this lad. The Saxo were on the Never Never, financed.
Blimey.
And he'd somehow managed to buy a new or nearly new Saxo back when they were doing free insurance.
And still didn't get insurance.
Didn't get insurance and thought, oh no, I won't opt for the free insurance. Maybe he was banned, I don't know. But so he'd basically caused damage to someone else's car, uninsured, and of a car that it wasn't paid for. So stupid. That was like stupid as you get. All because he wanted to race around town. Unbelievable.
There's the lesson for the day.
What lesson? Don't race in town.
Don't race in town.
Don't go buy insurance.
Okay, maybe there are multiple lessons. Don't race in town. Don't buy a car with free insurance and refuse the free insurance. And don't buy cars on the Never Never.
Don't buy a Saxo.
Don't be
a reasonable. No, that's mean.
Don't try it on with Ollie.
Well, no. Yeah, Ollie once in Nottingham, not him, was driving around the one-way system and a car was coming the wrong way.
As you do.
The car stopped. Ollie tried to stop in time, couldn't, hit the bumper. Got multiple people to sign, they witnessed it and everything like that.
It was the wrong
Seat driver, his insurance company, tried to make the claim against Ollie.
Wow.
Because Ollie didn't stop in time, as if he should have been assuming.
I
mean, you should. I mean, I drive on one-way street, and I'm always kind of like, you've got to watch out, But
that's it. Our driveway pulls out onto a one-way street, and I always look both ways, which is ridiculous. But that's it. You never know. Whether people go up. So that cav where it is. I think that the thing with that and throttle body things, isn't it, is that. The duality of it, when you just poodle around, it just sounds completely normal. And because it's instant, there's no turbo, there's no nothing. The moment you put your foot down, the noise that just erupts from this, it's a shock, isn't it? And I imagine the guy in the GSI got a bit of a shock when he first put his foot down and there's noise just erupted alongside. He's like, oh, hang on a minute,
It's like a wailing banshee when they go.
Gorgeous.
Fantastic. Shall we wrap up the first bit there?
Yeah, let's have a brew, have a bit of a drink, and then get on with it to the next one.
Righto.
See you in a minute.
Hello again.
Right.
Welcome back. It's going to get ranty now.
It is, well, no, you're going to rein me in, aren't you?
I am the judge presiding over the next 20 minutes or so. Fannery Corner.
Fannery Corner. We've got to work on that one a bit.
I mean,
this is me, isn't it?
Look, I'll read you in.
Okay.
I'll read you in, and then I'll let you off the leash on this one, and then maybe rein you back. But your notes.
Yeah.
it's almost like you've written in with this on.
This is all off the cuff, though, isn't it? There's no notes here.
Hang on. You cannot make an uncool car cool using fog lights. I could rant all day about fog lights, but I think this is a fair point. A Citroen Picasso running side lights and fog lights is still a Citroen Picasso.
I think that says all that needs to be said.
Moving on then.
I mean, I see it quite a lot, especially at the moment when you have darker nights and stuff, so people are running some sort of lightage anyway, especially around dusk. Like when I drive home from work, pretty much every night I drive home, I see, I think it's a Peugeot 307, bog standard 307, running side lights and fog lights. And I just think, but it's a Peugeot 307. Like, you can't make it, the fog lights do not do anything. And it's bizarre. And the weird thing is, people to go on from that comment, that statement, I would say people even ruin cool. I've seen Jags with fog lights, side lights and fog lights. And it's like, what are you doing? A Jaguar XJ is cool. It does not need fog lights and side lights because they're not cool anyway. And you've actually written off the coolness of that XJ by doing side lights and fog lights. They never make a car. I know if you watch Top Gear and it's a moody day when they're on the airfield, or when you used to watch Top Gear, it was a moody day on the airfield, they'd have all the lights on, fog lights, the traditional parked up at dusk setting is side lights and fog lights. But that's because it's, in the context of a magazine, or it's just on the road, it's just not cool, and we won't get I won't go any further than that. I could rant a lot more than that.
I used to do this.
Oh.
I used to be very much in the crew of people who swore by it.
Shame on you.
I used to drive. My dad had a 406 when it was new.
Yeah.
First ever lease car. And we had a Mondeo as an interim car there.
Yeah.
50 quid to put me on insurance.
50
Can't be
quid,
bad.
bargain.
Just passed me test. Can't
Nice.
complain. And it was like, you got in, you put fog lights on.
Yeah.
That's what you did. And I have to admit, like, when I had me Cav, there was a bit of fog light action. And I stopped when I got me XR4 before, because I don't know if you remember, they had really high fog lights.
Oh, were they in the...
They're in the bumper, like actually in the bumper.
Yeah.
And I remember driving home one day and the guy in front of me was going nuts. He were proper angry. There were a proper big pair of dazzlers on
yeah.
pair of Bobby dazzlers on the front. I think I stopped doing it after that.
Good. You mended your ways.
But I do think cars look better when they're on.
I don't know. I know. You see, you're going to make me rant. You see, the thing is, right, I think you see it more these days because a lot of cars, especially like if you buy your base spec VW Polo or something like that, they don't have dedicated fancy LED running lights, do they? So they just power. I think they might even, I get the impression that they power the fog lights, but lower power, not full power. It's almost like half power, and run them as daylight running lights. I've seen that quite a lot.
That's good.
But the problem is, that means that people, I mean, not that there's police around anyway anymore, but people get away with it a lot more because it's kind of more normal to see fog lights lit because they look like daylight running lights now. So I think you see it more because people think, you're going to get away with it and all that sort of stuff. I have a problem with it because I don't think it makes, like I say, if you've got an uncool car, it just doesn't transform that car into a cool car. Also, they are sometimes quite dazzling. It's not pleasant. I hate driving sort of, this time of year when it's kind of twilight and it's raining and it's dark and everywhere's glistening and wet, and you've got to put up with some bellend who's got especially see what you've done. Especially, right, here's the worst offender is a Nissan Juke, and I'll tell you for why. Because I hate the Nissan Juke. I just want to put that out there. I'm not going to swear. I hate the Nissan Juke, but it has an amazing standard headlight setup because it has peaky little side lights really high up on the wings almost, and then the main lights look like massive fog lights, like rally style lights.
They do.
And that's proper cool. And then when you put fog lights on that, you've got lights everywhere, and it just ruins the whole thing. So I don't think I get what you're saying. In some instances, they can look quite cool. But only in that sort of, it's moody and I'm taking a photograph of my car, for me anyway, or, it's on video or whatever. It just, I And then people put wrong coloured lights in with the headlights, and so you get this mismatch, and it just looks horrible. You have them all the same colour, and it's just all the same temperature. See what I mean? See what I mean? Stop me. Stop me now.
I actually think, like...
I've got issues with fog lights.
Back in the day, normal warm white headlights with yellow fogs look good when they're on.
Yeah, that's fine, because they're in the same spectrum. It's when people have, like, you know, not even the standard xenons, but like they'll go aftermarket, almost blue, and then they go mate it up usually with that's the thing that annoys me as well, is if you go to the what's the word? Go and get yourself some really nice blue xenons and put them in aftermarket. Ooh, look at me lights! I've made a real effort with my lights. And then you just turn your fog lights on, and they're just the standard incandescent yellow.
Yeah.
It's just like there's that horrible mismatch. But you've not even gone blue and then like French yellow. You've just gone fog lights.
I don't like anything to do with lights. I always think like that. Modifying cars, well, I just think that it's like it's the laziest, easiest, cheapest, most pissy way of trying to make a car better is sticking lights on it, and it doesn't matter what kind of car it is. It's like people do it with 4x4s. I mean, do it more than anything, you know. And you've got someone who's bloody like screwed some spotlights into the roof of his L200 self-tappers. You know what I mean? And then they've got those really shitty DRL. You know what? Aftermarket DRLs never look good.
No.
They never look good. And what's worse is it Renault who have got them in the grille. And for about 2 years, I was like,
what are all these knobbers putting in these aftermarket?
I keep seeing this shit. Clio or whatever it is.
With daylight running lights in the grill, and it's like, oh, hang on.
Yeah. It's like they just did like the aftermarket thing from factory.
Yeah. I mean, I think you made a couple of good points there, because I think you're right. The kind of my hatred for this, you can't make an uncle car cool with fog lights. That you're right. You can apply that to any sort of light modification, and I agree. It's like when people started putting angel eyes in Mark IV Golfs or even angel eyes in older BMWs, and that gets on, because I quite like. I am a bit obsessed with, although I like modifying my cars, I quite like the idea of period correctness. And I think with lighting, you're right. It's like if you have a 2003 Mondeo and you stick DRLs on it, they will never look good, because that car never came with DRLs, and it wasn't from a time when nothing. You do realise how much time and energy companies spend on matching their kind of headlight designs up these days with LEDs and all that sort of stuff, and making them look good with the DRLs either built in or so that they work with extra DRLs put somewhere else in the bumper and all, and the designs and the shapes of the DRLs themselves. And you realise, when someone just grafts one onto someone grafts one onto a Clio or similar, and they just, I mean, I think the best ones are the ones where you can tell that someone saw these DRLs on eBay and thought, oh, they'll look great, and didn't notice that they were actually 3 mil thick and 5 mil long, and they arrived and they're like, they don't really, I'll put them on anyway, and it's just like they're not in proportion to the car. They don't, To be fair, I have seen a few, I think, on Vauxhalls, which are, in some respects, I would argue, Vauxhall aftermarket stuff. It gets a bit V-dub at times. You know what I mean? They're quite polished.
Yeah.
There's a market for it these days, and I've seen some in Vectras that do look standard, to be fair, and look like they were meant to be there. But for the most part, I think the argument is, as you say, fog lights. That's my own little sort of. But it's about having it. Period.
The fog light thing. I do think it looks naff because of why people do it.
Yeah.
I understand. I have a lot of empathy for why they do it, and I still think that when you had a Renault Espace, what was a sporty Renault Espace? Did it a sporty? It was quick as well. It was good. I don't know what the sporty version calls, but they did a Renault Espace, and that had like yellow fogs.
Yeah.
I thought it looked good.
Oh, I love
But then
it
it was a sporty car. But, I mean, it was a sporty people carrier.
Yeah.
I
I think that's it. I think what you could say is, if you've got a cool car, maybe that's, I can kind of see your point, which is, if you've got a cool car, sometimes, depending on what it is, fog lights do make it look cool. But it does depend on the type of cool. Like I say, the type of cool that a Jag is, it just is root, because a Jag is about unassuming cool.
Is this like you can wear sunglasses indoors?
Yeah.
If you look like a model and might be famous.
Yes.
But if you are just an old person, you look like a right prick.
Yeah.
That's what this is, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, you got to already be cool.
Yeah.
Before you can do the cool fog light thing.
Yes, yeah.
And you've got to also understand that if you are driving along and someone starts flashing their rear fog at you, that you probably going to have to turn them off.
Turn them off.
Not going to say it. But DRLs...
Aftermarket DRLs.
Well, manufactured DRLs.
Yeah.
I just feel like DRLs have really caught out the chaviness that can infect a manufacturer's thinking.
Yeah.
Because now they can do it.
Yeah.
Some of them, what they're doing, I mean, it's just bad, isn't it?
Yes. Wasn't it the? I can't remember if that's a concept or what they're actually going to do. Was it the new Megane? And it's the Renault Sport Megane, I think, and their little Renault Sport logo. They've recreated that in DRL, like in LEDs, to go in the DR. And I'm not sure whether that's just really chavvy or quite cool.
Or actually brilliant.
Yeah.
I struggle with when it looks like someone's cut out a little bit of LED rope light.
Yes, exactly.
And like stuck it in the corners and, I don't know, tried to make shapes with it. And it's difficult. Lights themselves, it's a weird old thing, you know, what makes lights attractive. And it's not always about the light itself, it's more about what the light actually lights up that is important. And the good thing about having fog lights on a car was that it gave this kind of uplight effect to the front of the car.
Yeah, true.
You kind of bathed the underside of the valance and things like that in light, and you were like, oh, I can see its chin now. Looks a bit better.
Bit of jutting chin.
I don't know.
We'll talk about lights again, maybe. I'm a bit of a fan of lights when it's done right, but
and I think lights done right make a massive difference.
But for now, I got myself worked up. I reined myself in though.
I think your case, objection sustained,
is sound case.
I find the defendants guilty.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Is that what they say at the end of a case?
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Judge. Judge.
Time for a brew.
You've got a little bit about this new takeover, or potential takeover.
Yeah. So it turns out I think it's in process. I don't think it has happened. I think they're in discussions at the moment. But basically Peugeot, Citroën, PSA, whatever you want to call it. But Peugeot are eyeing up a takeover of Vauxhall / Opel, which is obviously exciting news for people who like underwhelming vehicles. And also, I imagine for a certain section of the chav community, it's like the perfect blend, you know, for the guy who started out in his 306 TD and wound that rear beam down as far as it'd go and then chucking black smoke out, and then one day thought, oh, better get sensible, I'll have a Vectra diesel. I mean, now Peugeot and Vauxhall are going to be one in this. They can roll around in it now.
It's funny how you say that. Like, if you're going to see like blacked out lights on a car, it's going to be on the back of an old Vectra, isn't it? Or
an Astra,
an old Peugeot of some kind.
Peugeot seem to go in for the Lexus light technique quite a lot.
Torsion bar. That's why you lower the rear beam on a 306.
That's the one.
That's what you do.
What did I say?
You said lower the rear beam, but I mean that's effectively what it is. Yeah. But torsion bar. That's how you do that.
So there you go. It's not very exciting if you're interested. I mean, lately my wife's just had a new car, new to her anyway, and it was a combination Fiat Peugeot garage, and at one point we had to sit in the Peugeot bit while we were waiting.
Oh, crikey.
That was a depressing experience. I mean,
did they segregate like that? Some kind of segregation law.
It's like, oh, hang on, you're only buying a car worth this much. You can go and sit with the Peugeot folk. But it were dull. I mean, they're trying their best, and I think
are they?
I think so.
I don't think Peugeot.
I really
trying. They're not using their best.
I think they're trying their best. That's what's scary about it. You know, they come out of the wilderness.
They're not using their best, but I'm sure some of them are good engineers.
Exactly. And it were a depressing experience. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, there we go. I got a little bit of car news.
Go on,
I
then.
call it car news. So, Audi, and I say that with a big sigh. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but basically they've made an RS3 saloon.
Yeah.
And this thing's got 400 horsepower.
I think they've done a hatchback. I'm not going to say
Sport
the word. No,
back.
no, it's a hatchback. It's not a sportback. It's a hatchback. They've made a hatchback version of it as well.
Sportback.
Yeah, and
I don't care.
I couldn't care less.
I only wanted to mention it because, like, what's gone wrong? There's something seriously wrong when Audi make a 400 horsepower RS car and it's also smaller packaged into the A3 effect.
Yeah.
That should be like if Skoda did it with the Octavia.
Yeah.
Like
bloody hell.
Wasn't that amazing? The Skoda Octavia RS 400 horsepower. And I'm finding it so hard to give a shit about this. Like, the numbers have just become like snowblindness now. And Audis are just like, they're just every single, like fucking Russian dolls now. Yeah. It's like they just pull an A5 out of an A6, an A4 out of the A5, and you know what I mean? Like, how small, and then eventually it's just going to get smaller and smaller, and it'll just be like kids, toddlers riding around.
You probably can get like an Audi A3 in miniature at the Audi dealership.
The 1 point something. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame.
I think it's the first. I mean, what I hate, what frustrates me about this is the dull inevitability of it all. Isn't it? It's like the TT. They make a TT 400, and it's like, right, okay, what else is on that platform, and where else will that engine turn up in 6 months? And we'll all have to look bloody surprised. And then when it gets put in a Seat, and it's only allowed to have 380 brake horsepower, we're meant to think that's really cool as well. I'm stopping myself again. I'm going to stop again. But I agree with you. Who gives a shit?
I don't.
I don't either.
We'll try and find someone.
We'll try.
Is there anyone on the internet somewhere who gives a shit about what Audi are doing? Full stop, pretty much.
Other than powerfully built company directors that populate a certain website that we won't name again.
Oh, crikey. Yeah, I guess the RS3 saloon with 400 horsepower is probably amazing news when your mate's got an RS3 and
with 373 horsepower, 2 more than the equivalent Mercedes AMG A45, and 7 more than the equivalent BMW 1 Series.
It's rep mentality, and I've seen this. I honestly, talking about company directors, actually it was 2 company directors.
Yeah.
One was the managing director, one was like the engineering director or something like that.
Yeah.
And they both had been given Audi diesels as company cars. Identical.
Oh no.
Except, of course, he was a bit of a prat, to be honest. This guy we had to deal with. He's a bit faster.
Was the other one immediately thinking of going to Revo for a tune? Well, I'll have Revo tune mine.
It's like, I dicked him, and he's like, how come yours is faster? And I was like,
tap me nose, it's just the way I drive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll leave that at that. Yeah.
Fuck off, Audi.
Now, in the vein of your important Vauxhall Zafira recall, I have an important recall notification for our millions of Japanese listeners. Konnichiwa.
We're big in Japan.
Konnichiwa.
Because they're all small.
You didn't have to point that bit of the joke out, you know. So, konnichiwa, Japan. Suzuki have issued a recall, and this is just so ace, it makes me smile every time I talk about it.
It is amazing.
Suzuki have issued a recall for a single Suzuki Cappuccino from 1996 in the A21R, purely because the engine was not stamped with its engine numbers, not like a big long proper serial number. I mean, the engine in a EA21R Cappuccino is a K6A, and it was not stamped with the K6A. And because that might have a problem, it might cause a problem for the car's shaken. I think that's how you pronounce it. Shaken, or like their Japanese MOT. Because that might cause a problem, they've issued a nationwide recall. and they're asking the owner to come forward, and they will replace the engine free of charge. How cool is that?
It's a good deal, that
on
is.
a 21-year-old car.
It's a good deal.
And the reason they can do it is because they still use that engine in the Jimny and then the Caterham 7 160 as well.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's probably worth talking about in itself, but not today. But so yes, I just wanted to, if Mr. Person or Mrs. Person or Ms. Person is out there with their EA21R, and you check, and there is a serial number. Actually, I came across this story on Japanese nostalgiccar.com, which is a very cool website. So you check it out on there. There is like a proper serial number and everything. You can go and check it, and if it's yours, get this sent to a Suzuki dealership, if you know what that means.
I mean,
and get your free end, claim your free end.
So is no one like? Surely, if I were in this the scene that you're in, I'd keep that to myself, and I'd be looking at every cappuccino that's for sale and asking the owners if they could just tell me the serial number.
What's the chassis number on that?
And then you just buy it and get a free new engine.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, it's not worth very much because it's 150,000 miles. It's like, that's all right. I'm not going to use it very much. So that's a cool story. However, that's a cool story about a cappuccino, but I have to maybe take this opportunity to have a slightly sad story.
This is your sad story.
This is my sad story about my cappuccino, which just before Christmas, we got in the garage and started stripping it down to do what we thought, or what I hoped, me and my dad, would be a bit of a rebuild, a bit of a rejuvenation of it. It was looking a bit tired and the sills were not looking very good. Unfortunately, we sort of stripped it back, put it on a rotisserie and turned it over, and it wasn't just the sills that were looking a bit tired, it's pretty much the entire underside of the car. So it's very sad, but yeah, I have to announce that my cappuccino in effect is no more. We're not going to be able to do the rebuild on it, and it's a very sad time. I've had that car for 7 years, I think, only driven it for 2. And it's been sitting waiting for this opportunity, and unfortunately there's not the parts, there's not the skill. I don't think my dad will mind me saying that, but between us there's not the skill.
Well, we were saying like you could be a master panel beater.
Yeah.
And
the time it would still take you to
be a big job.
Yeah.
It'd be hard.
It's all like double skin and triple skin stuff, and really, clever, modern. That's the thing. I mean, my dad rebuilt an MGB, which is an amazing feat in itself, but that's big, chunky, flat sort of bends and easy panels, and cappuccino is a million miles away from that. So yeah, that's a bit of a downer, but I'm a bit, I won't say a bit gutted, I'm massively gutted. Been able to, Sam, I didn't realise this, so this is another top tip. If you are scrapping a car and you really like the number plate, it doesn't have to be a private number plate, as long as it's been sewn, I think, in the last 5 years or has an active sewn on it, you can buy and retain the number plate. So I have done that with the cappuccino because it means a lot to me.
How much does that cost to do?
£80 for 10 years.
Okay.
It used to be £80 for something like 2 years or something ridiculous like that. So it's not cheap, but I've got it till 2027. I'm going to keep the engine and transmission, a little heart of it as well, and we'll see if we can do something with it.
On an unrelated note, if you have a Suzuki Carry,
the Japanese market
without an engine,
get in touch.
Get in touch. Just completely unrelated.
Just unrelated note,
Completely unrelated.
Did you know, on a completely other unrelated note, did you know that they drift Suzuki Carries in Japan?
Oh, drift that up!
And a common thing to do is to drop a cappuccino engine in to give you a bit more power.
Really?
Completely unrelated note. Cappuccino. So yeah, despite the light-hearted banter going on here, I am gutted. So farewell, little cappuccino.
It's sad.
It's proper sad.
I feel sad for you, but I think you're doing the right thing.
I think I am doing the right thing, yeah.
It's a goner, it's a dog, it's shot, it's shat.
It is an ex coffee.
It is the dregs. It's the dregs at the bottom of the cup.
That's it.
Of cappuccino. Now, it is not perky. Cool thing about the cappuccino was when that turbo converted XR4 before I had 2001.
Yeah.
I had that Collins dump valve.
Yeah.
And we put the Collins dump valve on the cappuccino.
Yeah.
And it was dead loud, weren't it? It was dead good. So maybe it will go on to another car.
Yeah, if for no other reason than we need to keep the Collins alive, so it's got to go somewhere, yeah.
And we're not putting it on the Wagon R, are we?
No, we've tried that on a Wagon R. Automatics and turbos, they're a bit, you know...
It was weird. It was weird, that valve that it had on.
It's not right.
40.
And I think it might be a bit ostentatious for the Jimny as well, but, you know...
Yeah, it's got to go on something.
It's got to go on something.
It's attention-seeking noise.
Can we put it on the Grand Cherokee? You might have to get like a supercharger conversion first, but you know, can maybe
we'll get a long way around.
Exactly.
For it.
Right, I think we should pour a 40. What was that? I only know that because of what you said last time when we were outside. Pour a 40 for the cappuccino and come back with some more exciting, more uplifting news about the future.
And you know what? When it's ground up and reused in China,
on, lads,
whatever.
Come on.
You never know. It might go into making the chimney that you buy.
I hope it does.
It might have the shredded remains
cap
of your cappuccino within it.
That's true.
Or maybe your cappuccino will become an Audi.
Let's go and have a brew now. You've just spoiled it all.
Hello again.
Yeah, right. Got over that one.
You'll get over it.
I've had a little cry.
Time.
I've had a
You'll
little
get
cry.
over it. Those salty tears. You want salt near your cappuccino, do you? It's going to make it worse.
You
salty
bastard.
tears.
You bastard. Go on.
Yaris.
Future Yaris.
Future Yaris. Yaris have been getting loads of love for their little rally cars at the moment. And they've said, well, fine, we'll build a 210 horsepower little Yaris then.
Good old Toyota.
Yeah, good old Toyota.
I was going to ask, is it based off the kind of, their little rally programme they got? They won, haven't they? They won,
That's
was it Rally of Sweden?
Getting all this love.
Yeah. Second time out, they've won, and it's the first time in 17 years Toyota have won in rally. So fair play for celebrating by making a 210 brake.
And it's funny how that excites me after what we were saying about like the new Audis and stuff. But that seems like a lot of fun.
That's a good, quirky little fun driver. Like. They've done kind of war matches in the past, haven't they? They had like was it a 180T or something, T Spirit or that kind of. I think so. And they were supposed to be. They even did. They did what people termed a fun diesel. I'm not sure whether that's but yeah, they've done warm stuff in the past. But that's going to be cool. That is, I reckon.
It looks. I've seen a picture of it. It looks dead cool.
Look the bizzle.
It's just like based on the rally car, and Yaris is going to be a very light car as well.
Exactly,
so that should be a lot of fun. You know, it's all very well saying, you know, the Audi A3 is small. It's a massive fat engine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. That's the only petrol news.
Because it's the future.
I have that, but negative autonomous car news.
There is a downside.
There may be a downside.
Okay,
So you got this whole issue about insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And only Liverpool Victoria are doing autonomous car insurance and whatever. Basically, the UK government, if they haven't already announced it, are set to announce that you will require 2 insurance policies for your autonomous car.
Blimey, that's going to be costly, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it will be, I guess, like insuring a second driver.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's a good way of putting it, that, because it is a second driver.
Because it's a second driver.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting about this is effectively your AI is going to have a driving history.
Yeah.
So, like in the past, so the way car insurers work, for those that don't know, is basically dead simple. Like they just use a statistic of how often the car's crashed.
Yeah.
So, like, if loads of people buy Audi RS3s and crash them because they're twats, buy one in the first place, then the insurance price rockets up statistically for those vehicles. And it's a little bit against demographics because demographics run alongside those statistics. So basically, you could end up in a situation like, if you have a generation of AI that crashes a lot, it's going to have a higher insurance cost. So you're going to buy this car and people are going to say, oh, the AI on it, you know.
It's a bit shonky.
It's a bit questionable.
I wouldn't drive it in bright sunlight if I were you.
You know, it's a bit over keen, it's a bit too confident, whatever. then you could end up with a high insurance premium. We could see it skyrocketing potentially on a car that you own.
Yeah,
through
maybe
no
older
fault of your own.
I suppose that has a bearing on as autonomous cars or semi-autonomous cars come to be and come to fruition, and about the older versions. Are you going to start to see primitive autonomous vehicles or the first generations when that's technology surpassed? Are you going to see the AI side of that insurance rocket up? It's like they say, with the Euro NCAP, isn't it? It's like they're always making it tougher all the time.
Yeah.
So you never, just because you got a 4-star when you started, 10 years later you might now be down to a 2-star.
Yeah, that's affected the new Mustang.
Yeah,
two stars.
Yeah,
because it's got no lane control or collision detection.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that'll happen with insurance. It's like you might buy a cutting edge autonomous vehicle, and 4 or 5 years, second or third owner might be paying. All of a sudden the insurance might rocket up for that because it's been surpassed by something else.
But then, what about software updates and things like that?
That's true.
Can
you confirm your firmware number, please?
That's
it's
it.
At version 1.380.0.63. He's like, if you'd have said 6.4, you'd have got an extra 20 quid off.
So yeah, it's getting into a very interesting area.
Yeah, that's going to be complicated, that isn't it?
Yeah.
Surely.
It will all factor into one payment at the end of the day.
What happens with, when we were talking about a few podcasts ago about BMW have admitted that their AI, their autonomous driving is an arrogant bastard.
Yeah.
You got a BMW. Oh, right, okay, we'll just maybe notch that up a little bit.
Just the same as they do with the drivers, I imagine.
True.
It's just the same rolling scale.
This is true.
And I know what you're saying, listeners. I know.
We can hear you.
I can tell what you're saying. You're saying, but Chris, but Andrew, you're pair of twats.
I hope they're not.
Autonomous cars don't crash, do they? Don't do anything illegal. Dead good they are.
Clever.
They're better than humans, and they're going to save loads of lives. And yeah, quite right. They will save millions of lives. Already are.
But they're not infallible.
No, because an Uber self-driving car, these ones that they're trialing, is it in Chicago or Boston? Can't remember where they're doing it. You get free ride.
San Fran?
No, it could be Seattle.
Definitely?
It could be Seattle.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Chicago or Seattle, and basically Uber are trialing these autonomous Volvos
in a major US city.
And you can, I think if you go in your autonomous car, it's free, or it was free at first, or whatever. It ran a red light.
No wonder it's free. Suicidal maniac drivers.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
So they do make mistakes. Right now, considering how this can all be tracked and everything else, dead easy to raise your insurance. If you imagine, you can find out in a month suddenly that until they release a patch, your insurance is rocketed up.
Yeah, that's it. Make sure to update your car at regular intervals, but otherwise pay the price.
On the flip side, flippity flopping that
we
back
are nothing if not balanced. We are nothing if not balanced.
So Google, they've got their own self-driving tech. They're calling it Waymo. Waymo. It's Waymo good. Waymo, okay. They've got one of them. So Google have gone all in autonomous. No steering wheel, pedals, anything. You get in.
Little bubbles.
Yeah, it's like a little golf car. And it drives itself around.
Got a smiley face on the front.
It's adorable. There's been one driving around Austin in Texas with a blind man in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm not sure if the blind man knows necessarily what's going on.
Here, mate. Sit here for a
He's
bit.
just been thinking, Carl's been chatting to him. He's thinking, bloody hell, same taxi driver every day. What are the chances? But no, that's been driving around. Safe as houses.
Safe as houses.
Nothing wrong with that. So,
Safer than if he were driving. I don't mean to be critical, but it's true. And that's the point of it, isn't it? He couldn't drive on his own. And now Google Waymo makes it way more possible.
Way more possible.
Way more possible for the blind man to get around, which is amazing. For
I mean, that is amazing, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful?
That for accessibility and for that kind of stuff. It's a No, I can't use that word. It changes things quite a lot.
It reorientates the structure of rules within this set practice of events.
Exactly.
Is that a better way of saying it?
That's a much better way of saying it.
It rolls off the
tongue.
tongue.
I'm going to write that down.
So that's all electric corner. You're not having any more. We've got plenty more.
Plenty, but we're not giving it away. We're not giving it away.
We just slowly work through this list, which gets about twice as long every day.
This list that doesn't exist, because obviously it's all off the cuff.
The list that is in our heads, which is shared within our collective consciousness. It's not like we've got a couple of sheets of A4 with a load of highlighter across it. What do you think this is?
Yeah.
What do you don't know. You don't know.
You don't know the pressure we're under to deliver. 10th episode. We've got to make this
episode 10.
Episode 10.
Get back in the shed. Doing this nonsense.
Pressure's on.
Crikey. You think we want to be here? You think we want to be here?
We do.
Well, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
We
do really want to be here.
We enjoy it very much.
Take it far too seriously. Now
you've got
our final.
This
point.
is a good. You raised
Is
this,
it a
didn't
good
you?
point?
I think it is. I think it is.
Dash cam.
You've got a dash cam, haven't you? I don't have one.
I've had a dash cam now.
And you've been staring at it and thinking.
Like, how long have I had a dash? Because we put it in, didn't we? Together.
Yeah. No, you did that. Oh no,
you and I.
We did a bit. We did all. Oh yeah.
I can't remember when it were because it weren't cold, so it could have been like September. I had it for my birthday off me mum.
There you go.
There we go.
In September.
Yeah. So I am addicted to watching dashcam footage on YouTube.
You put some of your own dashcam footage up on YouTube.
And I've re-met with old friends that I've not seen for a while.
Yeah.
Walked around and they've gone, I'm addicted to watching dashcam footage on YouTube. So it's like, it's a popular
You're not alone.
thing. If I were to say the words, shitting Peugeot, a lot of dashcam fans would get that cult reference. About shitting Peugeot. And I got one of these cheap dash cams back in September.
Yeah.
It's ace having one. Because you kind of feel like a policeman all the time. It's like you want things to start happening.
It's quite scary, isn't it? How much you want manic stuff to happen in front of your car.
And it makes you realise how often things happen which are notable, which are worth hitting the save button.
The big red button.
The big red button. The other week, I don't know where, I was driving home and coming through Clayton, near Newcastle and Lyme, and coming up this hill just off the A50, busy 50 mile an hour hill, twin lane. Woman just walks out.
Ooh.
Doesn't look, just walks right in front of me Jeep.
That's
in the
scary.
middle of the night. Loud Jeep, loud tyres, bright lights. And it was like she was just trying to kill us.
Scary, that, man.
It was weird. And just shit like that happening all the time. And
now you can hit that record button.
And I think it's nice. It's so reassuring to know that if someone backs into you to make an insurance claim or you're in a bit of an accident, whatever, that you've got this data. It's really handy. But at the same time,
makes you feel like a policeman.
No, we are under so much surveillance these days.
Yeah.
And it feels quite oppressive, and it feels like, you can't make a mistake or do anything wrong or be a bit too reckless. And part of me, like, in my Jeep now, it's like I never want to do anything questionable.
Yeah.
Like,
not even sort of demonstrably bad, just questionable.
Because like now, like there may even be footage on YouTube going, because earlier today we were coming through Teen, and there were a load of bikers, like cyclists, going like
3 or 4 abreast.
4 abreast. There was about
casually
20 of them,
casually cycling up the road.
Well, they were knackered because they'd been on a big run, and I went round them and then had to do a left.
Yeah.
And
you did give them plenty of room, to be fair.
I gave them as much room as humanly possible, but I don't know whether or not they knew because I was indicating left. It wasn't what I was trying to get back in or what. But it's things, little altercations like that where
you're worrying about a dash cam pointing,
a helmet cam, or something like that, and I'm thinking like, I might see myself. Sometimes I'm wondering if I'm going to see myself on one of these compilations.
Maybe that's why people watch it, just for that.
You just don't know. Like, you may have done something, and you're kind of like, well, that seemed fine to me, but maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe it really set somebody off, sort of thing.
Because like some people, they put videos up, they upload footage, and it's them that's in the wrong, like in the footage. Like,
that's a bit odd.
Yeah, and they don't really realise it.
Yeah.
Like they rear-ended someone who stopped quickly at lights or something. Like,
This shitting bitch.
And then all the comments, shitting Berger, all the comments of people like, you twat, you should have, whatever, leave a gap. And there's all sorts like that. But I do feel like, on the one side, that I am policing the road with my own little CCTV camera, but also on the flip side, a little bit paranoid.
Bit oppressed.
That I may do something, or I even accidentally do something, or have a moment of being a bit of a twat at the wheel of myself. We all do it. And I do it a lot. Yeah. Let's face it.
And see yourself on YouTube.
Yeah, find yourself, and you're just thinking, like, what am I doing? That's stupid, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I'm such a paranoid driver. I'm an anxious, paranoid driver these days.
I agree that, like, this, like, because I've seen it. One of the things that I like least about the dash cam thing is the ones that have a big LED that glows pointing forwards to show it's on.
Well, that's quite good, isn't it? So people know.
Yeah, but I find that really sort of, you're on candid camera.
Well, this is it, isn't
and
it?
I think they should. I think maybe if they were hidden, completely hidden, or just not. But it's that kind of, I'm watching you with this big bright LED. I find that a bit too much. I find that a bit, like you say, a bit policeman-esque. Like, I've got this, I'm gonna catch you out. Whereas I think if it was just like yours, because yours doesn't have a light pointing forwards, does it? It's that's fine. That doesn't because it's just a little box and you can't really see it. It's just there. You know what I mean?
It's a bit when some of them. I saw one the other day. Someone on my street. I don't know if they live there or parked whatever. But I parked the Jeep and got out, and my girlfriend noticed. And it was like they'd got a full rangefinder or a suction cup, like in the window, wide into the cigarette lighter. Yeah. And when you see it like that, it looks very foreboding, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, bloody hell, they've got like a proper camera set up in their car.
It's a 4K DSLR set up on the dash.
It's tricky because I think that, evidence of stupid behaviour and whatever. And I think one of the interesting things about watching like dash cam footage is it's like training. I mean, it makes you a bit more anxious, a bit more paranoid in a way, but you kind of like realise, like sometimes I watch dash cam footage and I'm like trying to guess what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or what's the result
the situation sort of
like
thing.
You're like, driving too close.
Or he's unfolding in
rear
front
end
of you.
someone, or got to watch that pickup truck's going to do something weird. You can just tell by the way it's being driven, and you can sometimes see it coming and stuff like that. And I think stupidity and people's insurance and fake insurance claims, all that is fantastic. On the other side, I mean, when I started driving, there were no cameras about. There were no speed cameras. The police
safety cameras
just starting to get cameras, like helicopters had cameras and things like that. But generally speaking, you didn't feel like you were watched like you are now. And it's like we are all becoming little police people, not policemen, people I guess.
People, do you think that comparison? Do you think that shows in the type of the type of driving behaviour? Do you think it's worse or better now? Do you think they have made a difference? You're saying, you remember a time when there were no cameras and, people, like, no cameras at all. Do you think now there are cameras everywhere that has, for you can see the difference?
What shocks me is you'd think, like, you just don't think so many weird things happen on the roads, or stupid things, or deliberately aggressive things, or whatever, or road rage incidents. You don't really think that's something that happens with regularity. And what's odd is how much footage is getting put onto YouTube, and that's just the stuff that the dash cam catches. That's just the stuff that people choose to actually download to their computers. That's just the stuff that makes it onto YouTube. That's a tiny proportion of what's really going on. And what I find quite scary is just how often there is someone on the wrong side of the road on a blind bend. That there is someone driving like an absolute maniac, that there are nutters that are going to try and run you off the road. All kinds of crazy stuff going on. If anything, it's like, in a way, we totally deserve autonomous cars.
Yeah.
Because when the dash cam is just so much frigging evidence now to tell you that humans are just like a lot of people, like, they complain about bad drivers and stuff like that. I'm amazed at how well we do.
Yeah.
It really frustrates when people go, rah, 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 women drivers, bad drivers, boy racers, pricking a rep, white van man, all this. It's like, okay, you know, there's always one and they're always in certain vehicles or whatever, but I mean, we are like distracted, very limited capability beings with emotional tendencies. And we are sitting with this frigging wheel in our hands, these levers and pedals that we're synchronising, with indicators and wipers and lights, and we're driving on this multitude of road surfaces and all these chaotic conditions. And we manage to all do this on a worldwide scale every day without us all dying. Because really, like, can you imagine? Like, if you went back in time. And there was someone in a Model T. And you said to them, you know what? The cars are going to be 4 times heavier than this. And they're going to be
20
times
faster,
more powerful. And we're all going to have them. And we're not going to be like wearing our driving gloves and driving hats with a person waving a flag in front of us or whatever.
There's going to be people checking or you'd have to explain mobile phones to them as well. But checking their mobile phones.
There's people texting, there's people under the influence of something, if not just exhaustion. Just all the time. There's people in 18-wheelers who, you know, driving across, you know, maybe over their taco hours and God knows what else. And we all manage to somehow all get along, all do it without killing each other. And I just think that's a marvel. I do think that the evidence is stacking up, you know, that statistically, like, it's just, we are human. Like, the difference between the person who's had an accident, the person who had an accident, a lot of the time is serendipity.
I think you're right.
A lot of the time, it's just wrong place, wrong time, wrong car, wrong moment. You know. It's easy to walk away and be like, well, I've never crashed a car.
No, I think you're right. That's it. You can't be smug about that.
You can't get cocky.
No.
And you know, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I had I crashed into my girlfriend's mum's car whilst it was parked in her garage, as you know.
Easily done.
And what I was in my Jeep, and she had a very tricky driveway. You kind of had to go up, there was a little wall, there was an overhanging tree. And I was just having a normal day, no problem at all. Girlfriend's brother was working on his car outside, just got his car and stuff. And I backed into the drive. And apparently this is really common when people are reversing and turning. Because it's all about switching directions. It's quite common with automatic cars and doing this. And it's all about switching directions. I basically went to come to a halt. Tapped on the accelerator. Thinking it was the brake. And at that moment, as the car started to move back, pressed what I thought that was the brake as hard as humanly possible, because that's your reaction. Your brain is just going, this is the brake, this is the brake. And it happens in the blink of an eye. And it hoofed backwards into the garage door, shoved it into the C2. And not much damage done, hell of a noise. And that knocked my confidence so much. Because it reminded me of how, as a human, you make mistakes, and sometimes that mistake is, I don't know, launching the wrong app on your phone, or walking into a room and forgetting why you're in there. Sometimes it's like physically putting your foot on a pedal after
that you shouldn't be
17 years of driving, and just for a moment forgetting that's the wrong pedal.
That's the wrong one.
That really knocked me, shook me confidence, made me realise, you know, how infallible I am. And also, I mean, geez, like trusting yourself after doing something like that. Like you just, like, you really worry like whether or not you're competent or
Yeah.
your brain's working properly or something.
Am I losing it, sort of thing? Yeah.
I'm all right now, but
Yeah.
you know, once bitten, twice shy, and the whole thing. We're just so less. Oh, you know, my mate earlier, you know, hitting them school gates, the lad in the saxo, hitting another car, the clown being rear-ended after second guessing what he was doing.
They're all split seconds, sort of slightly, serendipitous.
And I just think that if it's in something as dangerous as a car, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to have to accept that either cars are going to be fully autonomous or they're going to be semi-autonomous, and you're just not going to be able to crash them.
Yeah.
Because the car's just going to go, nope, dangerous, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to be able to push it or do anything that's spurious or slightly
it's like collision
50-50
detection.
or
Collision detection at a certain speed will prohibit you from rear-ending a car in front of you. You cannot, I don't know if you can override it or what, but you just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine halfway through that manoeuvre, slamming your foot into the accelerator is only going to probably make the computer think, yeah, you have no idea what you're doing right now.
And I guess, you know, the only time you're ever going to want to do that is if you're deliberately ramming your car into someone else's. And, you know, the thought probably goes through a lot of people's minds. But, you know, you shouldn't do it. So you're not losing out on anything, really.
I think it's an interesting conversation, because it's interesting because I can see your point definitely, but then at the same time, if I was to play devil's advocate, I would definitely say, you know, when you say it's such a complicated thing, and for the most part, every day we manage to do it, you could argue, well, then you don't need dash cams, or not, you don't need them, but the idea behind them, you know, it's almost like you might say, then watching dash cam footage gives you a skewed view, when really, like you say, most of the time, it's all fine. But if you can't see or watch, although I imagine on YouTube you can, if you can't watch everyday normal people getting to work all right, but you can dive into a pool of near misses and crashes and people doing stupid stuff in cars, I imagine it does skew your view slightly. I mean, you know, like you say, you got both sides of it because you understand that, like you say, it ultimately, most of the time, it's all fine.
Yeah.
But it is a tricky one, isn't it? It's kind of, do dash cams make dash cams more prevalent? Because you watch a lot of dash cam footage and you go, Jesus Christ, everyone's a nutcase, I better get a dash cam. And you know, it's that kind of self-perpetuating in a way, isn't it? Because it's the same thinking as we've said, isn't it? If you go onto if you're ever thinking of buying a car, if you go onto any car forum, pretty much any car forum dedicated to that vehicle will persuade you not to buy that car. Yeah. Because nobody writes a forum post entitled, just went out for a lovely Sunday drive in me Jeep, or went off-roading on me Jimny, it was faultless. It'll just be, oh, they're awful, these brakes have gone on it, oh, I've got sludge in me diff, the electrics are awful.
I have a pinned topic about some kind of head gasket failure remedy and
common faults with the Mark II. So it's kind of a bit like that, isn't it? I guess in a way, but it's interesting anyway. I've thought about having one. I'm not sure yet. It might be quite costly for me because I have so many bloody vehicles. So.
And you're very fussy. You always have these weird left field cameras. You'll end up with some like Lexia or something like that attached up there.
I was looking at them, and the only one I liked was one that was a lens on a long lead, so that I could have the box somewhere else, and it was just so I could hide it as much as possible.
That's good.
I also thought about whether I should create my own using a Raspberry Pi, but I thought that was maybe going a bit far.
Of course. I mean, I've got
I can't code, I'll say that now. So
I've got what's called the Wedge.
The Wedge.
Very popular,
It is
cheap.
very popular.
A118, I think the product number is called, and it's well known. And they're like 40 quid or something.
I think we could probably shout out to techmoan.com.
Techmoan,
who does a lot of dashcam videos. Especially, I think that's how he started out, really, wasn't it, with dashcam
he
testing.
proper
tests.
He doesn't mess about.
And he has a smart roadster that he does the testing, so way for that.
It's a brave man.
Brave man
keeps a smart roadster going.
Exactly, yeah.
And you just you get like a hardwire kit and wire it in.
capacitor.
I've got a really bad hardwire kit in mine, so mine turns off and on about 1 million times.
Only when you first fire it up, though.
No, first fire it up and then eventually stays on. Need to sort that out. I have to say, like, there's been times like where it's gone off, on, off, and off, and then it stayed off. and I'm driving along, and I'm like,
I'm going to miss something. I'm going to miss.
Yeah, I don't.
Someone's going to crash into me right now.
Dash cam on. I want my dash cam on. I think once you've had it,
yeah.
And I just think that going into the future with cars having cameras built in for their autonomy and various other things, like it's just going to become automatic to have that.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you're right that a lot of them will be built in future, won't they? Really, because they've got front-facing cameras or that kind of thing for autonomy.
It used to be phones, like the first kind of YouTube videos of like really weird traffic altercations and horrific road rage and things like that were all captured on these kind of, I mean, they were like potato quality video footage, absolutely terrible. Now they are HD.
4K dash cams.
4K now, with low light capability. They're absolutely marvellous. And very easy to just buy and put in your car. And I just think that, like, once you got one, you kind of like, why doesn't everyone just have one? But like I say, maybe we all shouldn't. I don't know. We've all got phones anyway, haven't we? I don't know.
It's inconclusive then. Our discussion on dash cams is inconclusive. Even the person who owns a dash cam is inconclusive.
I guess I am.
But on balance, it's like, it's more yes than no. You're not clear cut, but it's more yes than no.
It's more yes than no, and part of me wishes that I'd had every car I'd ever been in had a dash cam in.
Well, I was going to ask.
I
was going to ask. Yeah, that would be. I was going to ask. Are you thinking of putting a rear dash cam in, which wouldn't be a dash cam, would it? I suppose rear, because you can have twin kits, can't you? That'll do back and front.
Yeah, I've had moments on the road where I've kind of wished I had a rear, because I was driving down the M6. There was a section where they got 4 lanes going into Birmingham, junction 10, junction 10A, and it kind of tries to manage you, and I wanted to be in a certain lane, and I moved into one of the middle lanes, and this car, I think it was a Duke, or a joke, or a puke, I don't know what you want to call it, and you know when people do that thing like where they coast right up to you,
there was clearly enough room, but they've decided there isn't, so
we're
they're
in
just
a
going to make a
speed
point.
controlled area, and it was like virtually empty, and I moved into the middle lane, and this car was like a dot. And he just came sail up behind him, and he's like doing all this hand gesture at me, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you've had to do something. I'm sorry that your mindless middle lane motoring.
Hoggery.
I'm a middle lane driver.
You are, so you can't say much.
I understand why people do it now.
But you wouldn't flail your arms.
But I don't. If someone needs to move across in a speed control area to get in the right lane, I don't.
You like gesticulate at them.
Even if I have to brake, you just like.
It's just the way it is.
You know when something hits you up. And you're like, I've done nothing wrong. Why are you giving me this shit?
Shall I just slam my brakes on
honestly, I feel sometimes like it's just sod's law. Like I say, I'm such a paranoid, anxious driver in terms of giving people route. People have seen, if you watch like the many such footage of us driving around Stoke, I'm big gap, let people go, let people out, nice guy driver, all the time. I'm not interested, people cut in front of me. I'm kind of like, whatever. And it feels like the second that I do something which in any way causes another driver to have to
despite being so relaxed,
when I'm being so careful, it's like it's just fucking sod's law. Like I just get like this nutter who's like, there's someone in the lane that I want to be in.
But that's the same, like, if I take a zen approach to driving to work one day, it will be full of people switching lanes, getting up behind people.
That's it.
Dude, it's just like, the more you try. Yeah, the more you try.
No one reacts.
No.
But you... like...
just trying to swallow it
down.
You're
just trying to be good.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. But we're going to talk a little bit in future episodes about... Well, we're going to start a new bit in future episodes. I won't say the name of it. But it's kind of covering these little things.
That's true, actually.
What the highway code says and what we do. And
going to do a bit of learning. Going to learn some people.
I know.
Well, no, all our listeners are brilliant, obviously.
That's reaching. I mean, they're just kind of like just talking points about this stuff, because there's rules, and then there's
rules at road.
etiquette, isn't there?
That's true.
Two different things.
That is very true.
There's unwritten social rules.
Well, I'm parched. I need another brew.
Me too.
Let's say ta-ra to our listeners. Thanks for hanging around for the first 10. Well, there will be another 10.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 10 was a big momentum. We should have cake.
We should have had cake. We've got cake. Well, we've got cake back at the house, don't worry.
Oh, it's always cake.
There's always
in your
cake.
house.
There's always cake. Right. Ta-ra, listeners.
Bye.